Welcome back to Roxham TV. I'm your host, Jamie. If you're looking at the screen today thinking, wait, why is everything pumping again? Stocks are bouncing, risk is back, and crypto is catching a bit. And once again, of course, it has something to do with Donald J. Trump because the market is trading one thing right now, TACO, that stands for Trump always chickens out. It's basically the idea that Trump starts with a big threat, like whether it's tariffs, or pressure, or aggressive headlines, and then later he softens and walks it back, and markets breathe again. So today, don't get distracted by the noise. The focus is simple. We're going to dive into the news, headlines, risk sentiment, liquidity, and of course, the price. And we will break it down in a way that actually helps you trade and invest much smarter. So here's what we're going to cover today. First, the big macro driver. So Trump's framework for Greenland. Is he finally backing down or is he not? Then we'll talk about the latest AI race update, including Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin entering satellite internet and Apple's push to turn Siri into a real AI chatbot. We'll also hit the biggest crypto story today, being Hong Kong stablecoin licensing coming soon and a new Bitcoin-linked annuity backed by BlackRock's index. So throughout the show, we'll keep coming back to the charts because you guys already know my stance. Narratives always do follow price. So without further ado, let's dive into the first news of today. So quick Greenland update because this story is heating up yet again, and I know a lot of you guys have been watching it very closely. We already know the headline. So Donald Trump wants Greenland. That part, of course, is not new, but what's new right now is the tone change. Instead of talking like this is a takeover, the latest message is shifting towards something more realistic. So he's talking about strategic assets and a new framework deal of type of deal. So the real question today isn't like Donald Trump if he wants Greenland, because we know he does. The real question is this going to turn into a military intervention, or is it just negotiation pressure? Because we know that Donald Trump is really good at negotiating, and that's what he has been doing for his entire life when it comes to the real estate deals. So here's the latest update. Donald Trump met NATO leadership in Davos, and right after that, he posted they've got a framework for a future deal related to Greenland and Arctic region. And most importantly, Donald Trump also came out and ruled out force publicly. He basically said he doesn't want to use force and he won't use force. So as of right now, the message from the top is this is not a military story. Today, this is a negotiation story, but that doesn't mean the tension is gone. It just means the strategy is shifting. Now, when Donald Trump says framework, what does that mean? Like, don't imagine a signed agreement or actual contract. This sounds more like the U.S. wants more control or guarantees in the Arctic and much stronger military positioning and access, despite the U.S. already has its military base in Greenland. But Donald Trump also wants the resource, the infrastructure operation, and potentially long-term influence over Greenland's future direction. And that's funny because we know Greenland is under NATO, and it's very funny how Donald Trump would decide the future. Basically, if you strip away the drama, the goal could be we don't need to own Greenland to control the value of Greenland. That is a huge difference. Like owning it is almost impossible, but like gaining more control over our security and resources is much more realistic. Now let's answer the big question directly. Is the US going to intervene militarily in Greenland? I would say very unlikely, and there are a few different reasons to support my claim. So, first of all, Greenland isn't a random country. It connects to Denmark and is a NATO member. A military move would instantly become a global allies crisis. So US is also in NATO, is also a member of NATO. So it becomes like a NATO member against another NATO member. So that's funny. And then the second reason is the political course would be very insane. Even if Donald Trump wanted to look strong, military action would create a massive backlash in Europe, global condemnation, and a long term collapse in trust. Europe right now is because Donald Trump is very unpredictable. That means doing business with the US is kind of very difficult to control from a business perspective. That's why Europe are in talk with China right now, and looks like China is the ultimate benefit, the winner in this case. And that reason is Donald Trump literally said he won't use force. So, like, unless something changes dramatically, there's really no reason to assume this becomes a military operation. Because, like, Greenland is not like Iran. Iran has been killing innocent people going to protest. The latest number is like more than 16,000 people have been killed during the protest. So there was actually an excuse for Donald Trump to invade Iran, but like looks like the situation, there isn't like much development from the US side of things. But for Greenland, there is no excuse for Donald Trump to pull military action. So let's be clear. No, this is not turning into a war story right now. This is turning into more a power story. So now, even this sounds like politics. Markets cared because earlier headlines include aggressive pressure tactics like tariff threats against Denmark and other European countries. That kind of uncertainty spooked investors because it hints at a possible US versus Europe trade fight and also NATO tension. And when that happens, money will essentially flock to safe assets like gold, like silver. But after this news, so this happened a few hours ago about this framework, we have seen a pullback for gold and silver price because like markets see this as a maybe a little bit of calm market before there's like a storm. Let's see if we're gonna see a storm or maybe Donald Trump having a bad day and it's gonna announce more tariffs. Let's see how it goes. But like let's also hop onto the S&P 500 and really see the effect of this tariffs and Greenland talk, US trying to take over another NATO member. So for the S&P 500, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, there was a strong pullback. Like this, of course, because of the tension in the geopolitics. And then in the S&P 500, there's like a around like 1.9% pullback. This is quite significant for S&P 500. Like, however, this is also a bearish pattern that I spotted. So let's see, since we have broken out of that support line already, so let's see if we're going to see a bigger correction, and how we measure this kind of stuff is basically measure the width, and then we go to breakout point being here, and maybe we're going to drop back to 6600, something around that. That is a level that I'm watching in terms of S&P 500. One thing very interesting is that Bitcoin usually is a leading indicator in the S&P 500, and for the past few months, S&P has been going up, keep breaking new all-time high, where Bitcoin went nowhere. So the last thing the market want is that Bitcoin being the leading indicator yet again for the stocks market. Like if that were the case, maybe we're going to see a bigger pullback for the stock market, traditional market, but nothing for certain. We're just like watching how it goes. And geopolitics is a massive factor that's playing out in today's market. And risk asset, of course, get shaking, including crypto, if that happens. Even if the tariffs don't actually hit, the market still react to chaos because the markets trade on expectation whether there's uncertainty in the market because price just don't like that. So going forward, there are a few things that we should be watching here. So the first question is that do the US and Denmark announce real negotiations? So not tweets, like actual meetings and terms. And then the second thing we're watching is that do we see trade threats return? That's the biggest market moving weapon in this story. And then the third thing, of course, like does this become a Arctic security deal instead of an ownership deal? Because that is more likely the realistic path for the US. So US gets access, influence, and control without buying anything, without bribing Greenlanders with their US citizenships. So I would say the clean takeaway for this news is that Donald Trump, of course, no doubt, he still wants Greenland very much. But the latest update suggests there's a shifting away from military drama and toward negotiation leverage and Arctic strategy. Military intervention right now, I would say very unlikely in my humble opinion, but the story still matters because it shows how fast global headlines can turn into trade threats, allies pressure, and risk of market reactions. And with that said, let's keep moving because we have got more market moving stories today. So the second thing I really want to cover in today's show is about Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is about to do something that could change crypto payments in the entire region. Hong Kong just signed the first batch of stablecoin license, which could be issued as early as Q1 2026. And if you're wondering why this matters, because like stablecoins are basically the bridge between traditional money and crypto markets. They are the rails for trading, payments, and tokenized assets. So we'll break down what Hong Kong is doing, the rules, like what the rules look like and who this benefit, and why this could become Hong Kong's next big Web3 advantage. So what just happened is Hong Kong Financial Secretary, so Paul Chen, said it in the World Economic Forum in Davos that Hong Kong expected to issue its first stablecoin licenses as early as the first quarter of 2026. So that means January to March. This is Hong Kong sending a clear message to the entire world. Like, we don't want stablecoins to be the Wild West. We want it regulated, licensed, and legitimate. Now, the most important line from Hong Kong is this: same activity, same risk, and same regulation. Like, meaning if something behaves like finance, it should be regulated like finance. So no special treatment, no loopholes, and no excuses. They want stablecoins to be treated as part of the real financial system. And now Hong Kong isn't just giving license for fun. They want issuers to meet straight requirements like real reserves. So stablecoins must be backed properly from with cash or high quality liquid assets. So it's not a trust me bro stablecoins. And then the second requirement is that they need a real system for how the pack stays stable. The last thing we want is another USDT, yes. So, and then the third requirement we need is to have strong compliance. So we are talking AML, anti-money laundering, risk controls, transparency, and audit. So basically, if you want to print a digital dollar inside Hong Kong, you need to prove it's real. And this is basically Hong Kong playing chess. They are trying to become Asia's regulated digital hub. So, like, remember one thing, mainland China has been extremely strict on crypto, and even till this day and age. But Hong Kong is completely different. It has its own financial system. It wants to attract global capital. So Hong Kong's strategy right now is to let crypto exist, but regulate it responsibly and turn it into an institutional market, not a casino for meme coins. And right now, speaking from personal experience and dealing with exchanges locally here in Hong Kong already has, okay, first of all, has 11 licensed virtual asset trading platforms, and that includes names like Hashkey and OSL. So the stablecoin licenses aren't happening in isolation. In Hong Kong, we already have a full stack. So whether it's for exchanges and stablecoins or tokenized assets like RWA, we're going to get into that in a bit. So this is, point being, this is a regulated entire ecosystem approach to even push RWA and tokenization to the next level. So Hong Kong already, they have done multiple batches of tokenized green bonds since 2023, totaling around $2.1 billion. So what does that mean? Because tokenization and stablecoins together, it means you can issue real financial products on the blockchain and settle them fast using stable coins. And this is the entire thing BlackRock is on about, because once you enable tokenization, we're talking about trillions of dollars. The benefit of RWA and tokenizing bonds is that everyone in the entire world, they can just invest into the government bonds. So in this case, it's Hong Kong government bonds. For BlackRock, is of course US government bonds. So this is a key benefit why institutions are getting in right now, because of the opportunity of more money being made. And we know BlackRock, that is what they on about, right? So for BlackRock, the whole Biddle fund is doing really well and better than expected. And basically, Hong Kong is trying to do the same thing as well. For Hong Kong, it's like building Wall Street rails, but in Web3 form. And if that works, Hong Kong becomes a gateway for cross-border payments, Asia-based trading liquidity, tokenized assets, and with real institutional adoption, because Hong Kong is already a financial hub. So why not welcome crypto with open arms? Now, the big question is, who would get approved first in Hong Kong? Because the first batch of licenses is going to set the tone. Like, will it be global players? Will it be local issuers partnering with banks? Hong Kong hasn't named the winners yet, but once those names drop, the market will pay close attention rather fast. All right, so let's sum it up. This news is about, okay, Hong Kong is signaling stablecoin licenses. It could arrive as early as Q1 this year, and this is part of a much bigger plan, which is to turn Hong Kong into the most important regulated crypto hub in Asia. And we are competing with Singapore very competitively. And if Hong Kong managed to pull this off, stablecoins stop being just a crypto trading tool and start becoming real financial infrastructure. And maybe we could push tokenization and RWA to another level. All right, so let's take a short break for now. And after that, we are diving into the next major headline of today, which is Jeff Bezos versus Elon Musk. And basically, who of this billionaire would control space and basically control the future of internet? So do stay with us.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for sticking with us. We're now going to dive into the next major headline of today, which is Jeff Bezos versus Elon Musk, but in a way that could decide who controls the future internet. So, Blue Origin, which happened to be Jeff Bezos' space company, just announced they are launching a brand new satellite internet network called TerraWave. And yes, this is of course, a direct shot at SpaceX. And it also creates a weird situation where Jeff Bezos is basically competing with Amazon's own satellite project as well. So we are breaking down what TerraWave is, who is it for, and why this whole race in space is turning into a global power game. So Blue Origin said they are building a satellite internet constellation called TerraWave, and they plan to deploy 5,400 satellites in fourth quarter of 2027. So the timeline is important. It's not tomorrow, but it is officially planning now. And this is Blue Origin stepping beyond rockets. They are stepping into actually an entirely different business. The easiest way to explain TerraWave, okay, think of it as like space Wi-Fi built with thousands of satellites, But unlike Starlink, which sells to everyone, ordinary people like you and me, it's like internet at home in rural areas, Blue Origin, they target enterprise, data centers, and government customers. So instead of your phone, they are going after the people who run cloud infrastructure, defense, military communications, national networks, and critical emergency response systems. So this is not the consumer product first. This is the big money clients first, or even for the governments around the world. Now, let's talk competition, because we now need to look at Starlink from Elon Musk. So first of all, Starlink is the leader, is the biggest boss we could see in the market right now. They already have more than 9,000 satellites in orbit, and now they've got millions of users globally. So Starlink isn't just early. Starlink is already operating at scale. And then the second competitor that TerraWave need to face is Amazon's internal project. So Kuiper. So Amazon is already building satellite internet project, so Project Kuiper, and it's now rebranded to Leo. And they have already started launching satellites too. So if you zoom out, Jeff Bezos is kind of competing with Elon Musk outside the company, but and also Amazon inside the company, which means this space race is turning into something messy and very aggressive. So Blue Origin says TerraWave will operate across low Earth orbit and also medium Earth orbit. Okay, it sounds very complicated and very technical, but like bear with us. Here's what it means in simple terms. So low Earth orbit is closer to Earth, so that means there will be faster signal and lower delay, while medium Earth orbit is, of course, is higher. That means it will cover wider coverage. They are basically trying to build a network that is fast, high capacity, and wide coverage. And that's the big flash they dropped in, is the speed claim so far. And there's up to 6 terabytes per second. Of course, that's a huge number. And again, this is why they are going after institutions. They want to be the backbone that powers serious data demand. And this is like the real business angle for Jeff Bezos as well, because Blue Origin is a rocket company. It launches things, but satellite internet is entirely different story. Satellite internet becomes like recurring revenue for the entire business model. They have subscription infrastructure, long-term contracts, government money, and enterprise budget. So it's not just like launch a rocket to the space and get paid once. It's recurring. It's got an own network and collect revenue forever. And Jeff Bezos said it before. Blue Origin could one day become bigger than Amazon. So moves like this show he's not joking. And especially in a world with rising tensions, countries don't want to rely on just one provider, being Starlink. So if Starlink becomes too dominant, governments would want to have other alternatives, just other options laying around. And that's exactly the opening Blue Origin is trying to attack. So for this news, the key takeaway is that when you control the satellite network, you control communication access, emergency connectivity, national security level infrastructure. And this is why Starlink became so important in global headlines. And that is also why Jeff Bezos is entering the race. It signals this is no longer just business competition. This is strategic, and that's why we get this. All right, so moving on next, we're also going to have more AI news, and this time it's pretty big because it's from Apple. So Apple is finally doing the thing that people have been begging for years. Siri is is about to stop being, okay, sorry, I can't do that, and actually turn into a real AI chatbot. Because like, personally speaking, I am not a big fan of Siri because I think it's kind of useless. And Bloomberg said Apple is preparing the biggest Siri redesign ever. And this time it's not just a voice assistant. It's basically Apple's built-in version of ChatGPT, living inside your iPhone, iPad, and of course MacBook. This new Siri is expected to search the web for you, or generated text, images, analyze uploaded files, and even take actions across Apple apps like Mail, Photos, Music, and Calendar. So instead of just asking Siri to set up a timer for me, it becomes like you could ask Siri to find a photo where I'm wearing a black jacket at night, or maybe rewrite this message so I sound more polite and don't sound as angry, or maybe just like turn my notes into a clean presentation outline. And you can do it by voice or by typing, which matters because sometimes you don't want to talk out loud. So it sounds very promising, sounds very exciting that finally Apple is doing something in the whole AI realm. So I'm sure you guys are excited like I am, but like the question is the timeline, like when is this coming out? So Bloomberg says Apple is likely show it off at WWDC in June, and then will roll out later this year with iOS 27. So this is not a 5 years later promise. It sounds like Apple is trying to ship fast. Because like the thing with the culture of Apple, like they usually don't chase trends. They would wait sometimes a very, very long time and then ship something polished. But right now, the world has changed. People are already very used to ChatGPT or Gemini, AI assistant inside apps, and full chatbot conversations. So Apple can't keep Siri stuck in 2016 while everyone else is building AI copilots for life. This is Apple finally admitting conversational AI is becoming a core feature of the phone. And here comes the juicy part and something very surprising. Bloomberg said Apple's new Siri is expected to even rely on Gemini. So, of course, Google's Gemini models. And they have a partnership that's roughly, well, $1 billion a year. That's wild because it means the AI brain inside Siri might not even be Apple at first. Because these two, so Apple and Google's, they used to be competitors, but right now they're cooperating, I guess, because like the internal AI developments inside Apple is not as great. But like Apple is also designing it so the model can be swapped out later, meaning they could plug in different AI engines depending on performance, privacy, and strategy. And that's Apple being Apple, like control the interface, control the ecosystem, and keep the back end flexible. And this is like a much bigger thing than Siri getting smarter. And this is not just a Siri upgrade. This is Apple turning the iPhone into an AI productivity machine and a built-in personal assistant. Because if Siri becomes your default way to search, to write, plan, decide, or maybe just like buy stuff, then people would eventually stop opening Google as much. They will stop opening apps as much. They can just ask Siri. Of course, like that is the idea we have. And if you guys are curious how the setup would look like, there are some images and what it could possibly look like, and when Apple to replace Siri interface with a chatbot. So you can just like type out what you want. Like, okay, for example, I have fresh salmons, lemons, tomatoes. Write me a 5-course meal with a dish for each taste bud. So if you guys use iPhone, you just like swap down, and then you type the demand, just like if you're using ChatGPT. But like with this feature, I think I will like it quite a lot because it's very convenient. I don't need to open a separate AI app constantly. So you can just ask Siri, and that is the basically a war for attention and interface. I personally think this is like finally the first time Apple has done something cool in years. I have to say, okay, I posted on my Twitter yesterday because I upgraded my software, my iOS to 26, and I'm very disappointed to see the rollout of Apple Intelligence in 2024 and the stagnation of Apple's development in AI and Siri. So like let me know if you guys upgraded to iOS 26. But what they did is they changed the software's visual design to this like liquid glass. And the look does not help at all, in my opinion, just like making it much worse. And even like looking at the time, I'm having a difficult time just to look at the time. Okay, so those are small features. And the market, okay. Personally, I don't like this design, but like I like where this is going with Gemini, with Siri upgrade. And I'm not the only one because like the market liked it as well. The Apple stock moved up on this news. So the clean takeaway for this news, like Apple is rebuilding Siri into real AI chatbot. This new Siri will work across your Apple apps, handle real tasks, and actually feel like ChatGPT inside your phone. And if Apple pulls this off the Apple way, meaning smooth, private, and deeply integrated, then Siri stops being a meme and becomes like one of the most powerful AI products on earth, because Apple doesn't need to win the AI, the model race. Apple just need to win the distribution race. All right, so we will take a short break for now, and coming back to you, we're also going to dive into more Bitcoins and crypto news. And Solana phone is doing amazing things, so stay with us, and we're going to get back into the details of the news.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the center of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're traveling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for sticking with us. We're now going to dive into the world of Bitcoin and also crypto because there's a sneaky bullishness for Bitcoin. This isn't a crypto exchange doing something crazy, something cool. We are talking about a life insurance company launching a retirement product linked to BTC, and not just any life insurer. This is Delaware Life. So partnering with BlackRock. So the real headline is Bitcoin is quietly entering people's retirement accounts without them even touching Bitcoin. So let's break down what happened. Delaware Life Insurance just launched what they're calling the first fixed index annuity with Bitcoin exposure. If you're not familiar with annuities, don't worry, here's the easiest way to understand it. Is a fixed index annuity. It's usually for conservative investors. It's built around this promise, which is to protect your money on the downside and give you some upside if markets perform well. Now, they are adding Bitcoin linked upside into the same structure. So the key is they are actually not buying Bitcoin directly. Instead of holding Bitcoin, this annuity links performance to a BlackRock index. So inside that index, Bitcoin exposure comes through IBIT. So of course, that being BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF. So think of it like this. You buy an annuity, the annuity tracks the index, and the index includes Bitcoin exposure via IBIT. No wallet, no exchange account, and no custody stress. This is basically Bitcoin packaged in a way that TradFi people can actually accept. Now, the reason this matters is because annuities are usually designed to be very boring. They are meant for retirement planning, long-term money, and people who don't want volatility. So how do you mix this with Bitcoin, the so-called the most volatile asset on earth, right? The answer is they will control it. Like this product uses volatility management, dynamic adjustment. So exposure can change depending on conditions and caps inside the annuity framework. Meaning you might get some Bitcoin upside, but you're not getting 50% drawdown in a week vibes. It's Bitcoin exposure with training wheels. So the big picture we are looking at in this news is that insurance companies are some of the most risk-averse players in finance. They move extremely slow. They hate uncertainty and they hate headlines. So if a life insurer is willing to offer Bitcoin-linked retirement products, That tells you something important. Bitcoin is no longer treated like a fringe trade. It's starting to look like a real long-term asset. First, we have institutions buying BTC, spot Bitcoin ETFs, and now we're getting retirement and insurance wrappers. That's the next level of mainstream adoption, because once retirement money enters the game, it's not chasing memes. They are building positions for decades. So long-term wise, I'm looking very bullish. But like since everyone's focused on the pullback of Bitcoin, basically where Bitcoin is holding, the next part, let's actually get into the Bitcoin's technical analysis for now. So starting with the shorter time frame, we have the daily candles on here. So for the past 2 days, basically we are on a little rally. Of course, the rally is not as significant. This is showing not much strength. So we pump like 2% in the past 2 days. We're still pumping a lot right now, sitting at 98.7K, somewhere around that. So we drew this like rising support days ago. And however, looks like it's turning out to be a bear flag. So how do you differentiate? So basically we have this like resistance. Whenever Bitcoin goes to this resistance level, we just end up getting rejected yet again. And we have like so much data touching this point, and then we got rejected. So this is a level I'm watching. Of course, a bear flag, as how it sounds. This is a bearish pattern. Being like short-term wise, this is still not a very ideal situation. Like if you're trading, then this is really good opportunity because there is volatility. So how do you take advantage? I have different indicators pulled out at the bottom. So this is the cycle time frame that I recently adopted. This is a new trading strategy that I have. So this is the blue line we have got here is the 1 day cycle time frame, and then we have 3 days, and then we have 1 week. So how do you read this, Jeremy? Okay. Basically, on the daily candle, we could separate. So 1 day is rather good for trading, or if you're a swing trader or even a day trader, you look at shorter time frame. So you focus on the top indicator, the blue indicator. If you have a medium term, like maybe you buy or trade for maybe a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, you could look at the 3 day cycle time frame. But like if you are more like an investor, so long term wise, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. Like for my holding bags, I haven't sold a single Bitcoin in my holding bags, because for portfolio, for investing, it's always good to separate a short-term trading bags and then a long-term investing bags. You need to know what you're doing in order to take advantage of the market. So it depends on if you guys are into daily trade like I am, you could look at the shorter time frame. So we have the daily candles up, we have the shorter time frame. This is the 1 day cycle time we could look at. So how do you read this? So basically, one thing the shorter time frame is suggesting us is that we have bottomed out. So we are at around 15 on the 1 day time frame. And as you could see, it's just like basically trade like this. And how do you read this and how do you take advantage? Is that, okay, if we topping out like on the 1 day cycle, it's sort of like our size. So if we go to 80, that is a critical level on the cycle time frame. That means the market is getting a little bit overheated on a short time frame. Okay, I have to repeat that again. So that's what makes trading challenging, and also that what makes trading so fun. So if we get close to 80, then it suggests that, okay, maybe it's topping out. So it kind of aligned with the price action here. So when we top out close to 80, we have a top on the price action. So as here, so we top at near 80, there's like a top here, and then so as so as the 22nd of December. So this is how you take advantage. And what I'm currently doing, like my personal trading strategy, of course, not financial advice, I'm sharing what I have been doing, and I have been making money and taking advantage of the volatility, is that I will pull it doesn't have to be a big take profit strategy, maybe just 2%. So if you see a 2% profit, then maybe it's a good idea to take a little bit of money off the table. So this is for shorter time frame. And of course, if you really know what you're doing, and if you want to up the gains, it makes much more sense to short altcoins these days, because we know Bitcoin is in a bear market already. And another thing we know that is if Bitcoin crash, altcoin is going to crash even harder. So the gains of shorting altcoins for my personal portfolio is working rather well, and it makes a lot more sense. It's like easier money than shorting Bitcoins, in my opinion. But I'm not pulling any leverage, so please don't use any leverage, because in a volatile market like this, you're gonna get liquidated really easy. So I don't recommend anyone using leverage unless you're really, really advanced. Personally, I don't use any leverage, like only 1x. Okay, so this is what the shorter time frame is suggesting now. So since we have bottomed out around 15, maybe we're going to see like a tiny pump. Though I honestly, I have my doubt if this pump going to be anything with strength or anything significant. So we have this like rising support, and if we break the support, the pullback is going to be even bigger. Like the pullback, the next critical level and a bunch of like buy orders that have got set up is around 77k. This is a critical level I'm watching. So if we break this, we are there is only strong support at 77k. So that is the level I'm watching as well. So anyways, if you guys want to know more about this like cycle time frame, these indicators, I recommend you hop to Substack and check out Strategy Master. And this is the basically indicators I pull from him, and he does share a lot of his insights that I find very interesting. So do give it a read, because he posts very constantly, like every single day. So anyways, so for the daily candle, for the 1 day cycle time frame, maybe we want to have a little pump, but like I think it's just going to be around 90k or maybe 92k. Like 92k, I think that is the top already, because like another thing that 1 week is showing is that we have topped out. So 1 week we reached 83 or even close to 84. So that means we're going to come down eventually. But since this is a 1 week time frame, so we're talking about a even bigger crash in weeks or even in months. Okay, in months actually. So this is the general trend of Bitcoin, and we have officially entered the. Okay, we are still in the second stage of bear market, but we are about to enter the third stage of going further down. The reason why I'll say this is, okay, we hop onto the weekly, and if we, or maybe we just close the indicators for now because it's very messy, and we pull up the Ichimoku cloud. We are inside this Ichimoku cloud right now. That's exactly what we have seen in the past cycles. So past cycle, we have the first stage of bear market, and then we have a second stage before entering even lower and found the bottom of 15.6k. So that is the pattern that we spotted back in like 2021 or 2022 bear market. And then right now we have the first stage of bear market, and then the second stage before getting down into the third stage of bear market. And question, why, like when are we breaking into the third stage of bear market? Well, I'm eyeing mid-February or maybe even first week of February. The reason why is that, okay, we spend 90 days inside consolidating inside the Ichimoku cloud. And if the similar pattern plays out, we're going to stretch that out to 9th of February. Like this is, since we are on a weekly candles, this is just like a rough time frame. But like until that, if we have like a rally to 92K, that is according to the daily candles, the analysis I was doing a little bit earlier. So if we get to 92K, I like to put a few shorts on altcoins because like for Bitcoin, it's still the strongest in the whole digital asset group. So like altcoins is making a lot more sense, and I could like make a lot more gains and juice out the market a little bit easier for me. So point being, first week or second week of February is the time frame I'm looking before Bitcoin officially entering the third stage of bear market, like being further down and completely lose that leading span B on the Ichimoku cloud. The reason why I'm so bearish is because we have the Ichimoku twist. So we have that twist that happen. It will happen. Okay, because this is a leading indicator, which makes it so great. Like when we do analysis, we have to combine the leading indicator and the lagging indicator. So leading indicator, for example, here, the cloud, and then the lagging indicator I was showing, it was the cycle time frame here. I pull out from Strategy Master. So I strongly advise you to check that out. All right, so that is the Bitcoin price analysis. Very quickly to give you more updates about crypto, because like Solana just turned a phone into a money printer again. And if you remember what happened with the first Solana phone, Saga, you already know where this is going, because Solana Mobile just launched the SKL token airdrop and is rewarding Seeker phone users and builders inside the Solana mobile ecosystem. So let's break it down what happened and who got paid and what this tells us about where the crypto next trend is heading. So this airdrop is tied to real usage. It's not like you own a phone and then you're going to get rewards. They look at activity, so real activity from Seeker Season 1 and based rewards on how engaged you were inside the ecosystem. Rough numbers, over 100,000 Seeker owners got SKL, plus 188 dApp developer teams also received allocations. And the big message here is quite simple. Solana is not trying to just like sell a phone. They are trying to build a full mobile platform where people use apps, trade and play and actually do something. So there are two groups, as I mentioned, got the rewards. First of all, like if you guys, the viewers, happen to own a Seeker phone, then congratulations. Your reward would depend on things like when you pre-order your phone, how active you were and what apps you use, how much you interacted with the whole Solana ecosystems and Solana mobile features. And the second group of people who got rewarded with this SKL token is, of course, dApp developers. So if your app launched in Solana mobile dApp store and hit the quality bar, dev teams got a fixed allocation. So to claim it, users claim directly inside the phone's wallet system, but you do need a tiny bit of Solana for gas, and that's fair, right? And there's a claim window as well, so do bear in mind, if you don't claim in time, those tokens could just lose forever. Now, here's the part that makes this different from a normal airdrop. Solana is using the phone as a form of hardware identity, because the biggest problem with airdrops is always the same. Like we have airdrop farmers, people gaming the system with thousands of wallets. But a phone, it's just like, it's so much harder to fake at scale. So Solana is basically saying, if you're holding the device, you are a real user. And that's why this drop is a lot more meaningful than random click-to-earn campaigns, is trying to reward actual adoption and make the mobile ecosystem a lot more sustainable. And other headline is, of course, staking, SKR. So a huge amount of SKR got staked almost immediately after launch. This is bullishness because when you see that happens, that means users are not dumping SKR immediately. They actually believe the long-term value of maybe the phone or a Solana ecosystem or maybe SKR. So staking here basically means you lock the token to support the ecosystem, and in return, you earn more rewards. So you earn more of that tokens. So instead of pure airdrop farming, it's turning into, okay, we have airdrop, and then users stake that airdrop and build a base of holders. So SKL looks like it's not just a meme token after all. It's designed to power the Solana mobile ecosystem through things like governance voting, network incentives, and rewards for users and dApps, and help shape what gets promoted inside the Solana mobile dApp store. So the direction is pretty clear. Solana wants mobile to feel like a real platform, not just download a wallet and trying to fix some engagement. Like out of all the ecosystem, I like Solana the most. Like of course, like Bitcoin is not encountered as just some crypto, but like crypto-wise, I'm a big fan of Solana. I like the real adoption going on here, and even Solana phone. Like when it first came out, not gonna lie, I was quite bearish on that. But like looking at the developments right now, it's getting real. Like crypto phones used to be just a gimmick and being criticized by a lot of like tech experts. But Solana is proving something important. Crypto on mobile works best when it's tied to secure wallet hardware, real apps, and actually real users for the dApps. And the Seeker phone, okay, the Seeker is cheaper and more accessible than the fast Saga phone, which makes this push even more scalable. This is basically Solana's strategy, make the phone the gateway into Web3 and pay users to stay inside the ecosystem. So I'm liking this news. Key takeaway, short term, of course, SKL, people will trade it, speculate, hype it, but like maybe if staking, because like staking rate is rather high. Long term wise, let's see. Okay, the real question is, can Solana turn mobile into the next big distribution channel for crypto, the way Apple and Google control Web3? I mean Web2, sorry. Because if the answer is yes, then this isn't just about a phone. It's about who wins the future of crypto adoption. All right, so that is basically all I want to cover in today's show. Last call to action, make sure to give us a follow on Twitter. My personal Twitter is jamjamcrypto_io. Make sure to follow Roxham TV because we have regular content, regular updates, regular news, not just about Bitcoin, but global news, about geopolitics, about AI. So point being, we're updating valuable contents very constantly on an hourly basis, daily basis. So do give us a follow. There's so much you don't want to miss out. My show is from Monday to Friday, 3 a.m. Eastern Time. If you don't manage to catch that live, don't worry. The playback is also available on both channels. So being my own YouTube channel, Jam Crypto YouTube channel, and also Roxham TV YouTube channel. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.